After New Year's Eve, I woke up in an empty apartment. The 1st of January, my whole family secretly fled to Aspen on my money, leaving me to finish eating leftover potato salad and watching Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve reruns. There was a note on the coffee table, Jenny. Look after the apartment. There were frozen dinners in the freezer, leftovers in the fridge. Go ahead and eat what's left. Love you. And when they returned on the 8th of January, tanned and happy. I didn't even pick up the phone. I sat on my couch and watched Netflix while calls and messages poured in. My name is Jennifer. My friends just call me Jenny. I'm 25 and now, looking back, I realize what a naive fool I was 3 years ago. Back then, I had just defended my thesis in applied computer science at the University of Colorado and got a job as a data architect at a large insurance company. An office in downtown Denver in one of the glass towers on 17th Street. The salary was simply out of this world for a recent graduate, $85. 000 a year. I could easily afford a decent one-bedroom apartment somewhere in Capitol Hill or Lodo, maybe even with modern renovations. But my parents had their own plans. I remember that evening, we were sitting in the cramped kitchen of our typical 3-bedroom ranch house. Mom poured coffee into old mugs with chipped edges. She had that same expression on her face, a mixture of concern and poorly concealed panic that always appeared when the conversation turned to money. Jenny, honey, she began, fidgeting with her napkin. We really need your help. The mortgage is simply strangling us. Dad's salary alone is not enough. Thus I hid, wearily rubbing the bridge of his nose. He worked as an engineer at Lockheed Martin all his life. And the last layoffs only bypassed him by a miracle. If only you could live with us and help at least a little. We are a family. We stick together. Through thick and thin, they asked me to contribute $7. $200 a year to the mortgage. $600 a month. At the time, it seemed reasonable. I save on rent. Help my family. Plus, my mom promised to take on the cooking and cleaning. Imagine. She perked up. You come home from work and there's a hot dinner waiting. No headaches with utilities, laundry and cleaning. And you can help the girls with their homework. They adore you. The girls are my twin sisters, Sophia and Madison. 10th grade. At Denver East High School. Typical teenagers. Always giggling at their phone. The room is a mess. The music is blaring so loud that the walls shake, but I loved them. And I agreed. Every month, I transferred $600 to my dad's account via Zelle. But that was only the beginning. Another $200, $300 went on groceries. Sometimes to King Soopers. Sometimes to Whole Foods. And when I wanted something special, I had expensive taste. At first, everything seemed wonderful. When I came home from work, exhausted like a wrung-out dish rag. After 8 hours of wrestling with databases, my mother was already setting the table. The whole house was filled with aromas, either meatloaf with mashed potatoes, or chili with cornbread, or her signature chicken and dumplings. Bliss. No need to slave over the stove for hours after sitting at a monitor all day. At family gatherings, the parents couldn't be happier. Our Jenny went into big data. The mother proudly told her cousins, the salary is huge, and such a smart girl helps us. Doesn't abandon her parent. Unlike some people, I was pleased to hear this. I felt needed. A proper daughter. When classmates complained in our group chat about roaches in rental apartments and ramen noodles for dinner, I just smiled. Gradually, I started spoiling everyone with gifts. For my mother's birthday, I spent doi. $750 on a gold necklace from K Jewelers. For my father's Christmas, a Craftsman tool set, which he had been eyeing at Home Depot for 6 months. For the twins, Nike Air Jordans, AirPods, and Best Buy gift cards. In return, I also received gifts. Only now, when I think about it, it becomes funny and sad at the same time. I give them gold and technology. They give me a set of Bath & Body Works shower gels from a clearance sale, a sweater that's not my size from a TJ Maxx clearance rack, a $30 gift card to Chipotle. Although, damn it, I hate Chipotle. But then I didn't think about it. I was happy that I could help my family. After 6 months, our ancient washing machine started rattling like a freight train and tearing the laundry. I didn't wait for it to completely fall apart. I ordered a new Samsung for $720. When the delivery guys brought it in and we connected it, the whole family gathered in the laundry room, like at a movie premiere. Then the microwave broke down. It heated intermittently and smelled of burnt wiring. Then the coffee maker started producing brown liquid instead of espresso. Each time the family greeted the new appliance with delight. So, by the end of the first year, I had updated the entire kitchen, and then took on the furniture. The old sectional in the living room was sagging in 3 places and creaked like a door in a horror movie. I gave up and bought a corner sectional for $3. $300, soft. Modern, with USB ports in the armrests. I also furnished my room, a new bed with a memory foam mattress, a sliding wardrobe, a desk for my laptop, The house was being transformed before our eyes. But that was not the only thing that was changing. Words of gratitude were heard less and less often. Delights became routine. Sometimes, having dragged in another new item, I heard only, "Oh, that's nice, put it over there." And that's it. As if I were not a person, but a delivery service. But I brushed these thoughts aside. We are a family. We don't have to bow and scrape every time. They appreciate it. They just don't show it. Americans aren't used to expressing emotions overtly. And then it became the norm. The twins demanded money for everything. As soon as I asked, "Why do you need so much?" immediately offended faces and a march to the parents. And from them, I could already hear a cautious Jenny. "Why are you being so stingy? The girls need it." At the same time, I continued to furnish the house. New beds for the sisters, desks for studying, dressers to match, almost $7. $200 were spent. When the furniture was delivered, Madison said finally, I was embarrassed to invite my friends over. It looked like we were living in the 90 seconds. No thanks. Only a complaint that I waited too long to replace their perfectly normal furniture. I also updated my parents' bedroom. A king-size bed, nightstand, a dresser for the television. My mother's only comment, "You could have bought a more expensive mattress. This one is so-so." There was a twinge in my chest, but I swallowed it. The worst happened on an October evening, Thursday. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a hellish day. The database was being migrated to new servers. Everything went to hell. We were cleaning up until 9:00 p.m. I crawled home like a zombie, dreaming only of eating and collapsing. But at the table, Sophia and Madison were throwing a tantrum for the parents. She said no. Sophia was theatrically indignant. We simply asked her for money for shopping on the weekend. We need $440 for winter clothes. Madison chimed in. And she's being cheap. I sat down, trying not to break down. I didn't say no forever. I said, "Show me what you're going to buy first. $440 isn't pocket change." You see, Sophia threw up her hands. She doesn't trust us. She thinks we'll waste her precious money on nonsense. And then I snap. "You want money for clothes? Go get jobs." I was already working part-time when I was your age. There was silence. Sophia opened her mouth like a fish out of water. "What, sorry?" Mom put her fork down. I said, "Let them go get jobs if they need money. I've been working hard since I was 16. I gave you half my salary and bought myself whatever I wanted with the other half." My father looked at me with a heavy gaze. "Jenny, that's something completely different. You yourself decided to start working early. Girls should study, not waste time at minimum wage jobs. They have the SATs coming up." "Yes, the SATs are still a year and a half away," I countered, and I was 16 when I started. And I graduated valedictorian. It was your choice. Mom snapped. "We are not going to force our younger daughters to take on adult problems. They will work hard enough. Let them enjoy their childhood normally for now." The rest of the dinner passed in deathly silence. No one looked at me, as if I were invisible. I quickly finished my meal and went to my room, feeling their condemning glances on my back. After that evening, an icy silence reigned in the house. My parents and sisters practically stopped talking to me. They talked among themselves, made plans, laughed at jokes, and it was as if I did not exist. They passed by without greeting me, sat down at the table, and looked away. So what? Let her sulk as much as she wants. I would come home from work, have dinner silently, and go to my room. If they want to act like kindergartners, that's their business. 3 weeks passed like that. At the end of November, I came home, and all 4 of them were crowded around the table, looking at something, buzzing animatedly. They were so engrossed that they didn't even notice me coming in. I come closer. Mom raises her head, and a smile blossoms on her face, as if I had just handed her $1 million. "Jenny, you're just in time." She jumps up, grabbing a glossy brochure from the table. "Look," and she thrusts it into my hands. The bright pages show mountain landscapes, ski lifts, snowy slopes, New Year's in Aspen, Snowmass Village, unforgettable vacation. We need to book urgently. Mom chatters, almost jumping up and down. If we delay, only the most expensive options will remain. New Year in the mountains, that's a dream. I looked at her, at the brochure, then at her again. This is the first time I've heard about Aspen. Mom waves her hand. "Oh, we've been planning everything for 3 weeks already. We just didn't want to bother you anymore. We thought of everything. We found a hotel, a resort, and activities. And we picked the perfect dates. All that's left is to book on Expedia." Dad tears himself away from some printouts. Everything is calculated. 13元, 200 for 5 people. That's with round-trip flights. A ski-in divided by ski-out condo for a week. And spending money, I stare at them, dumbfounded. All 4 of them look at me expectantly, clearly expecting me to say, "Of course." "My dears, I'll transfer it now." Are you completely out of your minds? I say slowly. 13美元. 200 for a vacation. What the hell? Mom's smile immediately disappears. Jenny, don't pretend. I know perfectly well that you have this money. A year ago, you opened a savings account at Chase, a family emergency fund, which everyone has access to through the app. There's almost $16. 500 there now. Everything inside me is breaking down. She's right. I really did open the account, so that in an emergency, the family could quickly get money. If I'm not around, but this is money for emergencies, not for blowing on skiing. Remember, the pipe burst in the summer. 3美元. 850 for emergency repairs. That's what this account is for. Dad slaps his palm on the table. The brochures jump. We all need this rest. Jenny, we've been working like crazy all year. The girls are getting straight A's. Do we deserve a vacation or not? And you'll save up more money. You have a good salary. I look around at my beloved family. Mom crossed her arms over her chest. Her lips pursed. Dad irritably drummed his fingers on the table. The twins pouted like spoiled brats. I won't give $13. 200 for New Year's in the mountains. I repeat slowly, syllable by syllable. If you want to go skiing, save up yourselves. I turn around and go to my room. I didn't even have dinner. My appetite was completely gone. After that, the house felt like a moor. This time, the ignoring was total. If before they at least pretended that I existed, now there was a complete vacuum. But you know what? I didn't care. These were their problems, not mine. What irritated me most was something else. They planned everything behind my back, confident that I would shell out the money at the first demand. They didn't ask me if I wanted to celebrate the New Year in the mountains at all. They didn't ask if I had any plans of my own. They just decided, Jenny, our personal ATM, press the button and get cash. The silence lasted until the 31st of December. I still bought presents for everyone. Good. Expensive ones. What can you do? It's family. I stopped at a trendy bakery on Larimer Street. Got a custom cheesecake with berries, nuts, everything as it should be. I thought maybe we'd at least celebrate the New Year normally. We'd sit at the table, drink champagne. Forget this stupid story with the mountains. On the evening of the 31st, I come home and can't believe my eyes. Everyone is so nice and friendly. Jenny, you're just in time. Mom smiles from ear to ear. Sit down. I'll serve you a hot meal now. My sisters greet me, almost hug me. Even my dad asks how I'm doing at work, whether I'm tired. It was strange to see them like that after weeks of boycott, but I was still happy. Maybe they finally came to their senses, realized that the idea with Aspen was crazy, and decided to celebrate the New Year like normal people. I put the presents under the tree. Sit down at the table. Mom tried. Roasted turkey with stuffing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, honey glazed ham, everything I like. We chat over dinner as if nothing had happened. Sophia tells us about her chemistry test. Madison about the New Year's concert at school. Dad tells us stories from the office. For the first time in weeks, I feel like we are a family again. I go to bed to the sound of the Times Square countdown with a light heart. It seems that everything has finally settled down. I wake up on the morning of the 1st of January. Silence. Strange. Usually on New Year's morning the house is chaos. Mom is clattering in the kitchen, preparing breakfast to cure hangovers. The sisters are arguing about who will shower first. Dad is turning on football on ESPN at full blast. And here it's like a tomb. I get dressed, walk around the house, look into my sister's room. The beds are made. This is completely out of this world. They don't make their beds even at gunpoint. I go into the living room and shout, Mom, Dad, where are you? Silence. And then I notice a piece of paper on the coffee table by the tree. My hands are shaking as I unfold it. Dear Jenny, surprise, we've decided to celebrate the New Year in Aspen after all. We booked the tickets and hotel a month ago. Right after that conversation, we made a down payment from our savings so that you wouldn't suspect anything. And this morning we withdrew $13, 200 from your emergency account via mobile banking to pay for the rest of the trip. We know that you were against it and didn't want to go, so we decided it would be better for you to stay home. Look after the house. Finish the leftovers and turkey. Don't worry about us. We'll have a wonderful time on the slopes of Snowmass. With love, your family. I reread it 3 times until it sinks in. They planned it all. Yesterday's smiles. Heartfelt conversations at the table. The performance, they just wanted to lull me into a false sense of security, so that I wouldn't smell a trap. The anger is so overwhelming that it darkens before my eyes. My heart is pounding. My hands are shaking. They stole my money and went off to vacation, leaving me like a dog guarding the house. Go ahead and eat your leftovers. With love, your family. Fuck. My first impulse is to call them and tell them everything that's been boiling over. Let them know what I think of them. But wait. Why? Why waste my nerves on people who don't give a damn about me? Why give them a reason to gloat? Wow. Jenny is so mad. No way. I'll do something smarter. I'll show them what I think about their family values in practice. I take out my phone and call Sarah, a colleague from work. Sarah. Hi. Happy New Year. I say into the phone. Jenny. And you too. Why aren't you sleeping so early on the 1st of January? Listen. Remember how you said your aunt rents out apartments, Aunt Linda? Well, yes. A 1-bedroom in Highland. Are you interested? Very much. Is it still available? I think so. Jenny. Are you okay? You sound a bit nervous. Everything is great. I just need to move out of my parents' house urgently. Can you give me her number, Sarah? Without asking any unnecessary questions. Gives me the number. I call Aunt Linda. She is surprised by the call on New Year's morning. But when she hears about the apartment, she perks up. 1-bedroom apartment. 450 SQFT. Spacious kitchen. Balcony. Only without furniture. I warn you right away. Perfect. I have my own. When do you want to see it? Can I see it today? In an hour, I'm already standing in the apartment. An ordinary 1-bedroom apartment in a 3-story building. Fresh paint. New windows. 15 minutes by light rail to work. Just what I need. When are you planning on moving in? Aunt Linda asks. Tomorrow. If possible. Wow. Well, if we sign the lease today and you make a deposit, I take out the cash, the deposit, and the first month's rent. We sign the lease. She hands over the keys with congratulations. The apartment is yours. I go home with a feeling I haven't experienced for a long time. Freedom and a plan that will teach my loving family a lesson for life. On the morning of the 2nd of January, I call 2 men in a truck. I explain that I need a team urgently. I will pay extra for the urgency today. I have money. Enough cash in my accounts. And now I will save money. Not support these parasites. The movers arrived in 2 hours. I walk around the house, showing them my washing machine, dishwasher, microwave, coffee machine too. I have a receipt for every purchase. I have collected a whole folder over 3 years. Corner sectional. We take the coffee table. All 6 chairs from the kitchen. I go to my sister's room. Both beds. Dressers. Desks. Load everything. The same in my parents' bedroom bed. Nightstands. Dresser. Into the truck. By the end of loading, the house looked like it had been bombed. In the living room, there is only an old sagging couch. In the kitchen, there is an ancient table and folding chairs. The rooms are empty. But the best thing is the television, 65 inches. 1美元. 650. I bought it 2 months ago. The first weekend, my father did nothing but set up streaming subscriptions. He registered for Hulu Live, SPN+, Netflix. I took everything out of my room, even the area rug. We arrive at Highlands. The movers are carrying things up. The sectional fits perfectly in the living room. The television on the wall. By evening, there was already order and comfort here. A space that finally belonged only to me. I am sitting on my sectional, eating cup noodles, watching The Office on Netflix on my television. For the first time in many months, I feel at home. My relatives have been silent all week. No calls. No text messages. They didn't even wish me a Happy New Year. As if I didn't exist until they needed money. But I know that soon they will sing differently. Having nothing better to do, I go to my mother's Facebook page. There is a photo album from Aspen. Slopes. Restaurants. Spas. Everyone is tanned and happy. Under one photo there is a caption, "My beloved family is everything. The closest people." I laughed out loud. The closest. Yeah. So close that they stole $13. $200 from the person who fed them for 3 years. I take a screenshot. It will come in handy. The 8th of January at noon. My phone explodes. Mom. I decline. Dad. I decline. Sophia. Madison. Mom again. I turn on Do Not Disturb mode and continue watching Netflix. By lunchtime, messages from Mom started pouring in. Jenny. Where are you? We're home. It's empty. Where's the furniture from Dad? Call immediately. We need to find out what happened to our things. From Sophia. Jenny. Where's my bed? Where's everything? From Madison. Mom's having a panic attack. Call urgently. The messages became more and more panicked with each passing hour. Then from Mom again. If you don't call, I'll call the police and report theft. This is criminal. Jenny. I laughed. Go ahead and call. I'll show them the receipts. Let's see what they say. Their tone changed by the evening. Mom wrote, "Dear Jenny, it seems we misunderstood something. Let's talk calmly. Please call back." I decide. Enough games. I dial. Jenny. Thank God. Where are you? What's going on? We arrived. And here we are, sleeping on the floor. I moved out and took my things. What do you mean your things? It's family furniture. You had no right. Yes. I did. I paid for everything. I have a receipt for each chair. Silent. Then quietly, plaintively. Jenny. Come home. We'll discuss everything. Forgive us for Aspen. We know we did the wrong thing. You stole $13, $200 from me and left me to finish the turkey for New Year's. While you went on holiday with my money, we'll pay you back, she said hurriedly. Not right away. But we'll pay you back every penny. No need. I don't need anything else from you. What do you mean you don't need anything? It means I'm not paying your mortgage anymore. I'm not buying appliances or furniture. I'm not giving money to my sisters. Enough. I'm tired of being your ATM. I heard her sob. Jenny, we can't afford the mortgage without you. The girls need tutors. They have the SATs coming up. Then college applications. I just hang up. They call for a couple more days. But I don't pick up. Then they go quiet. 6 months have passed. I live in my apartment and thrive. Without supporting a family, I put aside those dólares. $750 a month. Another year and I'll save up for a down payment on my own house. I closed my Chase emergency account right after moving. I transferred everything that was left after their theft to my personal account at a different bank. I changed passwords everywhere. I know from friends that my parents are now both working 2 jobs. Mortgage. Girls. Tutors. They have to handle everything themselves. They are panicking about how they will pay for college tuition. And rightly so. Let them figure it out like all normal people. They can take out student loans or try to get scholarships. They thought I was their cash cow forever. That I would silently pay their bills forever out of a sense of duty or fear of upsetting them. They were wrong. And now they have learned to live on their own. Story 2, I was standing at the stove, stirring the soup and thinking that I wish I could live peacefully for once, without the constant omissions and reproaches. My phone buzzed. On the counter was the usual notification from Bank of America. I didn't even look at it right away, because I knew my paycheck had been direct deposited a couple of days ago. I wasn't planning any major expenses. But something made me pick up my iPhone. The screen showed withdrawal of $1. 650. Transfer to Peter Ivanov. My hand started shaking. The name seemed familiar. And only a second later it dawned on me. This is his father. That is, my father-in-law. I looked at this line as if it were a death sentence. Thoughts flashed through my head. This is a mistake. Scammers, but no. The withdrawal was official through Zelle. The transfer was confirmed. I opened the transaction history in Chase Mobile in a panic and saw that there had been other transfers in the last few months. Albeit smaller ones, $110, $220 付330. I remembered how my husband and I discussed our plans on Expedia to save for a vacation to Hawaii, for a bathroom renovation we'd been planning on Pinterest, for my professional development course on Coursera. And where is this money now? There were measly pennies left in our joint checking account, and I suddenly became scared. So he did it on purpose, and I didn't even suspect it. When my husband came home from his office job, I greeted him with an unusual silence. Usually we had at least some words. How was your day? Traffic bad on I-95, but here I just handed him the phone. He looked and froze at first, then smiled, as if he wanted to turn it all into a joke. So what my father asked for help, I transferred it. I couldn't resist and blurted out $1. 650. Do you realize that this is shared money? Did you even ask me? He shrugged, clearly irritated. Your mom gets money from your salary. Mine from mine. It's fair. And then my dad asked, that's it. I felt the blood pounding in my temples. He spoke so calmly, as if he was talking about some trifle, and not about something that would destroy our trust. I tried to explain that such decisions should be made together. We are a family. We have a joint account at Wells Fargo. You have no right to dispose of large sums without discussion. He answered sharply, this is my money. I earned it. I decide where to spend it. These words hit harder than the transfer itself. After all, we built our life together in our townhouse in suburban Virginia. Shared expenses. Paid the mortgage together from our combined income. He always said, our money. And now suddenly it's mine. I remembered how many times I had put my desires aside for his sake. For our family. How I had agreed to help his mother with her medical bills, although I myself sometimes had to shop at discount stores instead of Target. And now, it turns out, all of this was just his. The conversation turned into a quarrel. I screamed that he had betrayed our trust. He responded by accusing me of not respecting his parents. But what about his respect for me? I shouted, and at that moment I realized that my opinion mattered less to him than his father's request. After his words, silence reigned in our split-level home. I sat in our kitchen with the granite countertops, staring at one point, and he paced around the living room, breathing heavily. For the first time, I felt that we were not partners, that I was a convenient resource for him, silently agreeing to any of his decisions. I didn't sleep that night. I was going over in my head all the moments where I missed it, where I allowed them to treat our money like that. Maybe it's my own fault that I kept quiet when he transferred little by little to his mother through Venmo. But $1, 650 is not little. It's weeks of my efforts, my hopes, my plans. In the morning I firmly said, either we revise the rules, or I'm moving back to my parents' place in Ohio. He looked at me, And for the first time, something like confusion flashed in his eyes. But I knew there was no turning back. Now, the question was not about the amount, but about trust. And if there was none, then no amount of money would save our marriage. I put the phone with the Bank of America statement in front of him, where all the Zelle transfers were visible, and asked, "Do you at least understand what you've destroyed?" He was silent, and I realized that our conversation was just beginning. And his answer would determine whether we would remain a family or become roommates under one roof. The morning after. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. The numbers $1, $650 that my husband had so easily transferred to his father were still spinning in my head. I made breakfast mechanically, scrambled eggs and toast from our Cuisinart toaster. My hands moved automatically, and inside there was emptiness. I looked at my iPhone lying on our breakfast bar and knew that today I would have to continue the conversation. It would not be possible to keep quiet any longer. My husband came out of our bedroom sleepy, stretched as if nothing had happened, and immediately asked, "Is the Keurig ready?" I silently put a mug of coffee in front of him and decided not to drag it out. "Do you even understand what you did yesterday?" I asked. He looked at me, frowned and muttered. "Are you starting again, I told you?" My father asked. I helped. I took a deep breath and tried to speak calmly. "You didn't help. You robbed us. This was our joint money from our combined checking account. We had planned a vacation. We were looking at Airbnbs in Maui, talking about redoing the master bath after watching those HGTV shows. Now everything is minus $1. 650. Do you even understand how this feels?" He put the mug down with such force that coffee almost spilled on our marble countertop. "Don't be dramatic. We'll earn more. But my parents need it now." His irritation grew. But I was also seething. "And my parents? Why are yours always sacred? But mine are like second class. When my mother needed help with her prescription costs and I asked you to contribute, you said those were unforeseen expenses. But here's $1. $650 for nothing, just because Daddy asked." My husband turned away, as if he hadn't heard. I felt him closing off, retreating into his usual position. I'm the man of the house. I decide. But this time I decided not to give in. You know what? If that's how it is, let's be fair. If your salary goes to help your dad through Cash App, then mine goes to help mine. Let him get $1. $652. Fair enough. He turned around abruptly. Are you crazy? Your father doesn't need. How is your family more deserving of money than mine? Why should your parents get our joint funds? But mine can't. I didn't give in. For the first time, he seemed to hesitate. He tried to answer something, but the words got stuck. I continued to press. We are not an ATM for your relatives. We are a family. And until you understand that decisions about our joint Wells Fargo account must be made together, there will be no family. My husband got up from the breakfast bar and began pacing back and forth in our kitchen. I saw how angry he was. But at the same time, he understood that he was losing the argument. His justifications were crumbling against simple logic. Yes. He was used to being the master of the situation. Used to his mom always coming first. Now he had to face the fact that I no longer agreed to play the role of a silent wife. You don't understand, he finally said. My father raised me in Brooklyn, helped me get through college at NYU. I can't refuse him. I answered quietly. I understand. But there are different ways to help. You can allocate a reasonable amount from your personal spending money, not raid our joint savings. You should have discussed it with me first. He sat back down, no longer so confident. Okay, let's set some ground rules. But I don't want you monitoring my every Apple Pay transaction. I nodded. I don't want to monitor. I want us to decide together. Those are different things. After these words, he fell silent. We ate breakfast in silence, our usual bagels with cream cheese, and I could feel him processing what he had heard. The storm was still raging inside me, but hope was beginning to appear. Maybe he would really start thinking about us as a couple, and not just about his obligation to his parents. The discovery. A few days after our conversation, I still could not come to my senses. The money was gone forever. My husband's father had already withdrawn it from his Bank of America account, and I wasn't going to confront him directly, but there was still a splinter in my soul. I felt that the trust between me and my husband was fractured. That evening, I logged into our online banking through the Wells Fargo app and decided to examine all transactions more carefully. I suspected that those small transfers I had noticed earlier were not coincidental, but systematic. And I was right. Over the past 6 months, I counted more than 10 transfers to his parents' names through various apps, Zelle, Venmo, even some old-fashioned checks. The amounts varied from $55 to $330, but the total was staggering. My heart sank. He had been doing this constantly, and I never knew. I closed my MacBook and walked into our living room. My husband was on the sectional sofa, watching ESPN, seemingly relaxed, as if everything in our life in suburban Virginia was perfectly normal. But I couldn't stand it. How often did you transfer money to your parents? Not just this last time. He tensed up. His eyes glanced over my face. But he didn't lie. Yeah. Sometimes. Mom would text me. Dad would call and mention their property taxes or car repairs. I help. I felt a wave of anger rising inside me. And you didn't think it necessary to tell me we were saving for Hawaii. I had the Expedia page bookmarked. Was following those travel deals on Groupon. I've been shopping at Marshall's instead of Nordstrom. And you were quietly giving away our money behind my back. He tried to justify himself. I didn't want to burden you with every little thing. I thought these were small amounts. But these small amounts added up to more than our entire vacation fund that we'd been building for 2 years. I understood that now we were deciding not a question of money, but a question of trust. Either we manage our budget together and openly, I said firmly, or I'm opening my own account at a different bank. I will not allow my hard work to be disposed of behind my back. My husband was silent, but I saw that he was thinking. Maybe for the first time he understood that this was serious. Setting new rules. The next day, he suggested we sit down and create a proper budget. We opened Google Sheets on his laptop and started listing everything: our mortgage payment, utilities, car payments for both our vehicles, groceries from Giant, gas, our subscriptions to Netflix and Spotify. Then it became clear how much had been going to his parents. At first, my husband tried to justify it. They're on a fixed income, living on Social Security. It's hard for them. I didn't argue and suggested, let's allocate a fixed amount, say, $200 per month. And that's it. It's fair, predictable, and budgeted, but no more secret transfers through Cash App or anywhere else. It was difficult for him to agree, but seeing that otherwise we would never save up for anything of our own, he nodded. However, the problem was deeper than money. That evening, his mother called. My husband went to take the call in our home office, but I could hear his irritated voice through the thin walls of our townhouse. Ma, it won't work anymore. My wife and I decided there won't be any more large transfers like that. Then his voice became softer, as if he was trying to calm her down. When he returned to our living room, his face was heavy. She was hurt. She said I was an ungrateful son, that I was whipped. It stung to hear that, but I didn't flinch. If her respect for you is only measured by money, then that's her choice. You made the right decision. He looked down, and I understood how torn he felt between his mother's expectations and our marriage. But somehow, he had made his choice us. The confrontation. For several days, we lived quietly. He talked less with his parents, spent more time at home, even suggested we start watching a new series together on Hulu. I also tried not to bring up the topic, although inside I was still processing everything. But one evening he said, you know, I've been thinking, you were right. We are a married couple, and we should come first. I want us to have our own home improvement projects, our own vacation to Cancun or wherever, our own emergency fund. As for my parents, I'll help them, but in a way that we decide together. These words meant more to me than any apology. I felt that he was growing up, that he had stopped being a mama's boy who thoughtlessly responded to his mother's every request. Yes, I understood it wouldn't be easy. His family would try to interfere more than once through phone calls, text messages, maybe even surprise visits. There would be hurt feelings, accusations, perhaps drama at family gatherings. But for the first time in a long time, I felt we were moving in the right direction. And even though I was still upset about the $1.650 that had vanished from our joint account, I felt like it was the price we had to pay to finally get our priorities straight. If we could pass this test, we really had a chance to build a strong marriage, where financial decisions weren't made out of guilt or family pressure. The test. A couple of weeks later, the tension began to ease somewhat. My husband and I got used to our new system. We used a shared Google Sheet where we tracked all expenses and income, and even started using the Mint app to monitor our spending habits. It seemed like such a simple thing, but it helped restore at least some trust. I could see he was trying to keep his word, and that warmed my heart a little. But the situation with his parents became more complicated. His mother started calling more frequently with complaints. She could start a conversation with something innocent, "How are you two doing?" and then suddenly pivot to accusations. Before, my son helped us. But now I see your wife is controlling the purse strings. How can you abandon your parents? My husband would get anxious, try to smooth things over. But I could see he was being torn apart inside. One evening she showed up at our door unannounced, took an Uber from her apartment in Queens all the way to our Virginia suburb. She sat on our living room sofa, sighed dramatically, and began, "So, kids, how are you planning to live if you're going to be cheap with your own family? Son, you have obligations. Otherwise it looks like now you only have your wife on your mind." I clenched my fists under our throw pillows but stayed quiet. I knew that if I said anything, she would see it as a direct challenge. My husband sat next to me, frowning, but didn't interrupt her monologue. Only when she pulled out some medical receipts from her purse and handed them to him with the words, "Pay for these, like you always do." Did he speak up firmly for the first time? "Mom, we make these decisions together now. I can't just send large amounts through Venmo anymore." My mother-in-law went pale, glared at me, and muttered, "I see." Whipped. Everything inside me started boiling. But I kept my expression neutral. My husband took a deep breath and replied calmly, "No. Mom, I'm a husband now, and we're building our own family." These words were a turning point for me. I could see how hard it was for him. But he chose us our marriage, our future, our joint financial goals. Neither money nor old habits come before what we're building together. My mother-in-law grabbed her Coach purse, slammed our front door, and left, probably calling another Uber back to the city. The silence that followed wasn't comfortable, but in it I felt not fear, but relief. We sat next to each other on our sectional for a long time without speaking. Finally, my husband took my hand and said, "You know, I never realized how difficult it would be to choose. But you're right, we have to be a team. If I keep looking over my shoulder at my parents' expectations, we'll never be able to build our own life." I squeezed his hand and for the first time in months felt truly secure in our relationship. Yes, there would still be many challenges ahead. Guilt trips, family drama at holidays, maybe even threats of being cut off from inheritance. But now we had clear boundaries and shared values. Most importantly, he had finally heard me. That $1.650 that disappeared from our Wells Fargo account had been expensive, probably the most expensive lesson our marriage ever learned. But maybe it was exactly what we needed to understand, that a real partnership doesn't begin where money is divided into mine and yours, but where decisions are made together with our shared future in mind. I knew this was only the beginning of establishing ourselves as an independent couple. But now we were definitely on the same side. And that was worth more than any amount of money his parents could ever ask for.